Hello, I'm Daniel. We are joined today. I am joined today by my assistant Nikki and also by our chapter president Shannon Ellis. And today we're going to talk about, I'm going to make sure I get this right, clerical position description consolidation. That is the correct terminology for this thing that's happening. And what's happening is clerks in submission are getting their jobs redefined. And because they're getting their jobs redefined, the agency has to have meetings with every single clerk in submission. So they're having, it's constant meetings all this week and all next week, and the union gets to attend those. So we're getting to see employees ask lots of questions, and we're at times getting to see employees panicking, and we're trying to help them through the process. An aspect of this, though, is these new positions are vague, and because they're vague, that makes us uncomfortable, somewhere out along the lines of between uncomfortable and suspicious. We like very clear communication, and very clear language is what we prefer, of course. So, and my opinion is that a lot of what's going to happen in this new situation has been happening already. And they're doing this to make it all official and make it all legal. I know I talked to some data conversion employees yesterday, and they were new this year, and they came in as DCO employees, and they did not go to do their jobs right away. Rather, they were sent to RCO instead, and they did that for it seemed like a very long time before they actually got to train on their jobs. And I think that essentially that is some of what we see happening here. So I want to give Nikki and Shannon the opportunity to say hello.
Hello. Hi, thank you for having me today.
Okay, so Shannon, can you tell us what your perception is of what's happening here?
Right, as Daniel stated, there's very little we really know about this consolidation. What we were informed was HCO went in and there were over 66 clerical position descriptions. And so whenever the agency was trying to hire employees for submission processing, they were having to put out 66 different position announcements. And so HCO went out and they decided they were going to take these 66 positions and they were going to consolidate them down to 3. What would happen, the thought behind this is that what will happen is they post one position for a clerk, and based on the applicant's skills that they bring in, the agency would then be able to place that employee, that new hire, in any department, in any operation that they felt their skills would work. Of course, as Daniel said, one of the concerns about doing this is, one, you have no idea if they're taking into consideration all the skills that the employees are bringing. You could end up, if say they need a lot of employees in files, you could end up in files and you have a lot of computer background, and now you're locked into files position until the agency determines that they need you somewhere else. So there, like you said, Daniel, there is so many questions around this, and there's so few answers that every employee should be concerned about this. Everybody that's impacted. Most people didn't realize, a data transcriber is now a clerk. Mm-hmm. So it has opened a lot of questions. We've elevated many questions, and we can go through some of those today. But we've elevated them, and management does not have the answers or cannot provide the answers.
And my understanding is that a lot of these, at least in DCO, a lot of these people didn't know that they were getting their jobs changed, and they just see a 5081 suddenly, or is that what that is?
SF50.
An SF50, sorry. They see an SF50 suddenly that says, my job's changing. What?
Yes.
Because nobody told, and of course they're having the meetings now, but it's jarring to get to get that notification and your manager's not said a word to you, and your manager, you think, probably knows this is happening, right? So why aren't they telling us?
In fact, we know that the actual position descriptions were signed off by HCO and the agency in April. And according to the consolidation and the 7114 meetings, this was supposed to have been started back in August, on August 1st. And what was happening is HCO finished writing all of this up, and then they started putting in PAR actions to change these employees. Well, employees were getting SF50s starting back on August 1st, and they had no idea this was coming. And so now they're in a mad rush to get these employees to sign the new agreements under the new CJEs under these new positions. So that's what the big rush is, because employees are already being told.
Right. Well, and presumably as soon as they had the first meeting, like everybody started talking about it.
Correct.
So we asked questions like, okay, so can the agency just move me from my area to another area without my consent? And what if they move me to another area that has mandatory overtime? Am I suddenly having to work mandatory overtime? And we were not able to get a clear answer to that. And that's the kind of thing we're worried about, is exactly like but especially I worry about it for the new people, but I worry about it more for people that have been here 20 years and they're really comfortable and they're really happy in what they do and they really like their job, and maybe they even like getting laid off. And we have concerns that this will impact that as well. And so that's who I'm really worried about. It's the person who's been here 20 years and likes what they do, and suddenly they have to go do something maybe totally different.
Right. If you read the position descriptions, and we encourage all employees, get out there, get the position descriptions. If this impacts you in submission and processing, and it should be impacting every submission processing employee, if you go out, don't only ask for, if you're a grade 3, don't just get the PD, the position description for a grade 3. Get it for the 3, the 4, and the 5. Because one of the biggest things that we're noticing on these position descriptions is that they all have a lot of technical stuff listed as your normal job. The difference is just a couple of words. A grade 3, it may state that with assistance, you will do certain technical jobs. And then a grade 4 would say, on occasion, sometimes you will do this technical work. And as a grade 5, you're expected to do this technical work. Well, our issue is that it would appear, based on these position descriptions, that they're just giving every clerk the same duties. So whether you have done these in the past, you could be asked to do technical duties, which would include computer work, and you may never have touched a computer and have no desire to do that. And now all of a sudden you could be asked to do this. When you're reading through these position descriptions, take a highlighter and highlight the jobs that where it states that you may occasionally do it or you rarely do this. Because one of the most important things you can do as an employee is know what is required of you. Because if they give you jobs that are higher grade of duties, if you do that more than 25% of your time, that is now, you are entitled to get the higher paid grade for that time that you were doing it. So track the jobs you do, how much time you spend doing these jobs, and know what you were expected to do. One of the other things, Daniel, that we want to make sure that the employees understand is there's concern. One of the questions that we had was, we have grade, a few, not many, but we have grade 2 clerical positions. This initiative affects 3 campuses. So it's not just Kansas City, but we have grade 2 clerks in the campus and on other campuses, yet there's no PD for a grade 2. There's also areas that have career ladders. Data transcribers, I believe, are one of those where they have a career ladder, and I believe that's a 3, 4, 5, or at least a 4, 5. There's no career ladders on here. It's just a grade 5. And so what we're being told is, if right now, if you are a 3, you will remain a 3 and just go under the new series and the new position description. If you're a 4, you'll go to a 4. If you're a 5, you go to a 5. So what happens to these employees that were entitled to maybe be a 5 at the end of this year? So we're not getting those answers yet.
Yeah. Would you say that an employee who is currently a grade 3 or 4 data transcriber should come to us and we should try to help them get a 5?
Anytime. Well, we can't, unless they're doing the higher grade work. It's just that it's like setting in as a lead or covering, doing a special detail where it's a higher grade duties. So if you are doing higher graded duties, track it, because nobody else is going to track this for you. Track it, and then get with NTEU so that we can make sure that we can assist you getting that pay.
Okay.
Also, make sure you do a self-evaluation at the end of the year. Track all of this stuff. Put it in your self-evaluation. You are entitled, the contract allows you 4 hours one time to go train on how to do those self-evaluations. Take advantage of that. Do a self-evaluation. Make sure you document everything you're doing at higher grades.
Yeah, those are a pain, so people don't do them, but I really recommend it. And not just outside of this, like for this, I think it's really important. If you go to another area and you're doing duties that are higher grade than what you normally do, if they keep you there a long time, you've got a strong case for a higher grade. But in addition to that, I always recommend a self-eval, because it has happened more than once. An employee comes to me and they say, hey, my evaluation is really low for no reason. It dropped, my work didn't change. I don't know why they dropped me. And I always ask, did you do a self-eval? Because if you didn't, I'll fight for you, but I'm not gonna win if I don't have, I mean, that's saying too much, but it's like going to a gunfight without any bullets if you don't have a self-eval. It's very hard for me to win that case. And if you have a self-eval, that is the tool we need to win it. So even if this isn't part of you, you should still consider doing a self-eval, because it's a way to protect yourself. And the truth is, we want to trust our managers to evaluate us fairly, but you never know. And also, around here, your manager could just change and someone that doesn't know you can write your evaluation, and that can be a very frustrating thing. So
that is a huge problem with this.
Right. For sure. Yeah, especially like if I'm a DCO employee and I go to RCO for 6 months and then I come back to DCO, who's writing my evaluation? Are they going to do a good job writing my evaluation? What if this manager likes me and cares about me and wants me to do well, and this manager doesn't like me? I don't know. And
or if it's something that you've never done before. So quickly, I do want to touch on something that very few managers throughout these 7114 meetings touched on, which is if you are changing under a new position description and series, which the majority of you will be, you will not be evaluated for the first 60 days from the time you fill out and sign the form 6774, which is the receipt of your new CJEs. So they have to give you the new CJEs, you sign off on them that you've received them, and then at that point the clock starts ticking. So 60 days, you should not be rated on this. So know your rights. I mean, the most important document you could ever have in your career with the Internal Revenue Service is the National Agreement. Know what's in there, because there's all kinds of things that will protect you on this. So I just want to make sure that you do understand, if they start evaluating you, they start trying to hold it against you, you need to push back and you need to let NTU know immediately.
Do their managers have to give them a national agreement if they ask?
All employees they're entitled to a national agreement, and managers are responsible to hand those out.
Okay,
Yes.
If you don't have a national agreement, it's a white book and it says national agreement on it, ask your manager to give you one, and they're supposed to. And if you get pushback on that, give us a call. Give us a call and we'll figure that out. You shouldn't, though. They're usually pretty good about that.
Right. Now, and then to touch a little bit more on the moving people around, Daniel hit some very solid points on whether or not we'd be required to do the overtime, the mandatory overtime in other areas, because once you become trained in an area, now management can use the statement of, yeah, we have required overtime in document document perfection or something. And so we're going to mandate that everybody that has training in that can move over there. We're seeing a little bit now. Management, definitely understand management has the right to assign work. That where it changes and it becomes more difficult is if they move you outside the department that you're working in. So if you are if you're moved from RCO to ICO, then we need to know about it. It's because it requires talking to NTU, making sure that you're getting the training you needed, who's going to be evaluating you, who are you reporting to now. There's all kinds of questions. But some of our concerns was we already have management contacting us, contacting NTU and telling us that they're moving employees because work is slowing down in certain areas and you're being moved to areas where the work is piling up. We understand that. We work through with management the best we can to try to impact the employees the least amount as possible. We're worried now that this document, this changing of the position descriptions and the series will now eliminate us from being able to be notified and help make sure that the employees are not harmed by moving them from area to area. So we're already seeing some of it, but we're worried now that, as you said at the beginning of this, that if I'm an employee that's on a seasonal agreement and my season ends in 6 months, I no longer get laid off because they still have work under my PD. They
Right.
still have work in other areas. So we're concerned about all this. This doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but these are the questions we have and you should be asking as an employee. So also we asked on the flip side of the overtime, if I'm trained in that area, if I don't want to do overtime in files now, can I go do it in another area that I'm trained in? And that's some of the things that we need to know, because if an employee is going to be forced to work somewhere, then why can't they voluntarily work it too?
Yeah, our hope is, well, our wish is that if they're going to make it more flexible for the agency, maybe they can make it more flexible for the employees too.
Absolutely.
And I think I can see where this could be good for people that don't want to be seasonal, that really want to work the whole year. Although we're not in a normal year, I don't think anyone's getting laid off now. And in fact, maybe it could be some time before we have a normal year again. But someday we do expect seasonal layoffs to happen, and we may see where, well, your area is out of work, but we're not going to let you off. You're going somewhere else. And what will happen to people that really want to get laid off? I don't know. I know they can apply for hardships to get laid off, but we all know what that means. And that means I hope you're not relying on unemployment when you're laid off, because the agency's not going to help you get unemployment, and unemployment is going to be like, well, you could have stayed at work, right? So that's those people that really love being seasonal and rely on it. I feel like they're going to be harmed. I feel like they're not going to be able to do what they used to do. That said, right now it seems like they can't do what they used to do, but when things stabilize, if things stabilize, they still won't be able to do what they want to do. And that we don't really like that. But at the same time, we do understand if anybody walks on the submission floor, they know the amount of work here is out of control.
Right.
So the agency wants to move people around, and we do understand that, especially when there's bottlenecks. I know there was a point where there was a whole lot of work in RCO, and there was so much, and it wasn't all coming through because it was backed up so much. And of course, we don't want that. We don't want clogs in the pipeline. We understand that, but I'm hoping that the agency will make it voluntary for people to move to other areas. And it can be good for your career to move if you want to, especially if you want to rise at the IRS. Well, it's good to know a lot of things, but we just have a lot of concerns because it's so vague and there's so many questions still out there about how it's going to work.
I am sure that there are some positive things that could come from this. the ability to work overtime in any department because you are trained. That's one. The fact that they should not be able to tell you now that because a detail happens to be in a different series that you're not eligible, and the only thing that you can do is gain experience. That all of that stuff should be taken off the table now. So there are some good things that should come from this. We're hoping that employees will be able to track the higher grade of duties they are working, and that you guys keep us informed, because you're doing the work, you're in the areas, you're the only ones that can come to NTU and elevate the concerns and the issues that are happening as this new position description rolls out, this new series. So I'm going to give it now, but we ask that you email us at nteu.chapter.66@irs.gov, and then just use the subject in the subject line, just put series 303 clerks, or just clerks, so that we can identify immediately that that's what it is. But elevate your questions, let us know, because everything that we've talked about today, we have actually already elevated to the attorneys at National. So we're hoping that we're shedding some light on some of the things that were not initially brought to their attention when the IRS noticed us on this.
Yeah, if they put you in a new position and you don't get trained, we have to rely on you to tell us, because there's not a chance management's going to tell, hey, we're moving these people and not training them at all. Like, they're not going to tell us that. So we're only going to know it if we hear it from you.
Right.
And that's something I worry about, people getting like inadequate training and then being measured. That's really my biggest concern. Like, if you're not measured, it matters a little bit less if your training's not good. It still matters, but if you're measured and your training's not good,
yeah, it can cause a lot of problems, and
bad news.
And we're already hearing that in these 7114 meetings, that the employees are asking, when are we actually going to get good training?
Right.
So there's already concern everywhere on campus, but particularly in submission processing, that because the workload is so heavy that they're running them through, training them with just pieces of paper. So just keep us informed. We really want to make sure that you guys know you're the voice and eyes, ears of this campus, and we need to know from everybody, what's going on the campus. They don't necessarily like NTU to come down to your areas, and there's some areas we're restricted from being in without having special permissions. So it is very important that you keep us posted.
Whenever I go watch the COVID cleanings, there's some people that don't like it. Employees like it, but there's some people that don't like it, I've seen. So I think that's it for today. We have members meeting September 18th. Look on our Facebook page for details of that, but we're doing that virtually, and then directly following that, we're going to have in-person members picnic at Penn Valley Park.
Right, we're at
1 to 4 on September 18th.
We have Labor Recognition Week coming up, and we always do some type of membership appreciation. And with COVID, it's been really, really difficult. So we absolutely are going to make this happen this year. Social distancing will be followed because we will be outdoors. Food preps will be individually boxed, and so we're taking all the precautions. And but we do want to see our members and their immediate families come join us, come meet us. There's a lot of members out there that we haven't face-to-face met yet. So
we're very excited about it. Bring your spouse or significant other, bring your kids. You can bring your pets if you want.
There's a dog park right down the road.
I'm excited you will get to meet my 4 kids, so that will be a good time. Maybe. So
it'll be fun. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have games. We're gonna have music. We're gonna do it upright, and so we really hope that you guys join us.
Blue art.
Yes. Yeah. So in the past, the chapter has had people line up and get sandwiches here in the building, and we're not comfortable doing that. You know, it would be tough to make the argument to the agency, hey, what you're doing is not safe, and have a gathering here. So that's why we're doing it
Plus, on top of
outdoor.
that, I mean, that seems so what is the word? Impersonal. And I don't know, with this, I feel like it's going to bring morale together.
Right.
We're ready for that. We're
Just
ready
have
for
a
the
chance to
gatherings.
have fun.
We can be a community if we're together. Whereas, you know, if somebody lines up and gets a sandwich and leaves, like, that's not really community building. And I want us to be a community. So.
And look on Facebook and
Yeah.
watch around the campus for additional things that we'll be doing throughout the week for labor recognition as it gets closer. We will be trying to do maybe, you know, get in a little bit of one-on-one time with chapter president or something, you know, maybe some Q&As. So we're absolutely excited. Maybe some games that we will play for virtual and for our employees on campus. So look for the Labor Recognition Week events. That's for all employees, and the members only luncheon on the 18th after our general membership meeting.
Yep. All right. So thank you for taking the time to listen to us today, and have a great day, everybody. We'll probably have we may have more episodes about this consolidation because it's affecting so many people. We'll see. But thank you for listening, and have a good day.
Thank you.